This is Heidi Bushinowski from Astonishing Travel. Welcome so much to the webinar tonight about the national parks. Great night for it to just sit back, relax, enjoy. This itinerary takes you to some of the most beautiful places in the United States. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Kevin from Collette, who's going to go ahead and take us through the tour. And if at any time you have questions, just reach out to me and I'll get you answers. Thanks again, Kevin, for joining us tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it there, Heidi. And our trip that we're going to be talking about here today is our National Parks of America, which has been a top tour here at Collette for decades at this point here. And here we're going to be able to gain a whole new appreciation of the great outdoors, joining us on a journey through 5 of America's most incredible national parks. Again, my name, Kevin Ferguson, Business Development Manager at Collette. I have been proudly working for the company for 17 years, both as a tour manager, out on the road, in the thick of it all, as well as on our sales force. Home base for me is Syracuse, New York, upstate New York, but have guided this trip here extensively throughout the year. So it was actually the first trip that I guided back in the day, and actually the last one I guided before going on to the sales force itself here. Enough about me. Let's get right into a few things. Number one, Collette is actually celebrating our 107th season here in travel. We've been around since the late 1910s, 1918. So we say it's 107th, even though you do the math, it's 106, because we're going to be going into the 2024-2025 travel season here. 180 different tours, all 7 continents, nearly 60 different countries. And again, perfectly planned right out there for you. Definitely a household name. We actually sponsored Wheel of Fortune back in the first week in January. So if it's good enough for Pat and Vanna, probably good enough for you here as well on it. And when it comes to guided travel, you're not going to have to worry about a thing. You have a tour manager who's with you the entire time in the destination. We'll have some expert local guides sprinkled throughout here as well. We're taking care of the porterage, so you're not schlepping the bags around. Culinary, cultural experiences throughout, and much, much more. And that's the biggest thing, is that people say, oh, I can do this on my own. Trust me, you don't want to do this on your own. You want to make sure that you're going and traveling with pros here on this. And when it comes to our product philosophy, again, being around for 100 plus years, we need to keep things fresh. We need to keep things active. And one of those things here is want to make sure that, again, we're not living out of the suitcases here. We're really taking in a lot of those culinary and cultural sites here more than anything else. And this trip, as I always described it to travelers, was to get better and better and better on this here as well. So let's get right into this here. And before I do mention this here, I want to point out that Collette, knowing that your investment in travel to stay with us is more important than ever. During the pandemic, and even with some of these things here in the world the last couple of years, we've given back nearly $190 million. That number is close to 188 at this point in full money back refunds. Not coupons, not travel credit, not IOUs in any ways, money back. Now, emerging from the pandemic, one thing I do want to point is that we still have that cancel for any reason insurance, which I'll be mentioning to you towards the end of this. But without further ado, let's go. Let's get right into this amazing journey here, August 24th to September 4th. So this will be going over Labor Day weekend here as well, and an amazing destination, really taking it all in. So again, we'll be having our temperatures vary throughout. The hottest part on our tour is going to be, of course, at the beginning there in Phoenix, as well as in Zion National Park. But our cooler places are going to be up in the Jackson Hole, Yellowstone region, as well as our overnight at the Grand Canyon South Rim. So I kind of describe this tour because there's some wine nights in there. We're covering a lot of ground. This is kind of like an accordion, where the first couple nights are compressed. It kind of opens up there in the middle with Springdale, Zion National Park, as well as in Jackson Hole, and then finishing up in Rapid City, South Dakota. We're covering nearly 2,200 miles on this here as well. So it's one thing where people say, wow, we're seeing a lot. You are seeing a lot. You're seeing it all, really. And that's why I always say is that, you think it's done at the Grand Canyon, it's not. You think it's done at Yellowstone, it's not. And so each day has those own little special wows. Now, in terms of tour activity level, we out of at Collette, we have a 1 to 4 level, 1 being the most gentle, 4 being the most active. This is a level 2, which is a balanced approach to travel. You should be able to walk over again, cobblestones or uneven terrain. We're going to be dealing more with uneven terrain here with places when we're doing walking, uh, in venues like Zion National Park when you have time on your own, or out at Jackson, I should say out at Yellowstone National Park. You should be able to climb a couple flights of stairs. You should be able to handle, the altitudes here as well. And we will really kind of acclimatize you on that. We're going to be going up into altitude at places like Grand Canyon South Rim at 7,000 feet in elevation, Zion National Park, Bryce National Park at 8,300 feet in elevation. And it is a thing where we will help you out. We'll tell you how to do things, and make sure that this is as gentle as possible. But yes, you are needing to walk. You're going to need to be able to, take care in covered ground. But knowing that you're also in the United States, we also do have, the Americans with Disabilities Act. So if you're asking or requesting for a handicap room or wheelchair assistance at the airports, the more that we know about you ahead of time, the better to be able to make that happen for you. So a couple nights there beginning, 1 night stays. That 2 night stay where you see those arrows, it represents a choice on tour on days 4 and 5. And then here again, finishing up here in Rapid City, South Dakota. Uh, and again, Yellowstone, we're going to be staying in the park here, staying at the Snow Lodge, which is right across the street from Old Faithful itself. You can't get any better than that, and much more. All right, so here we are. How are you getting there? Well, it depends on your own specific gateway on this here. And again, reaching out to Heidi at Astonishing Travel, which will have that phone number at the end, will be able to give you your rate for your local airport here as well. But this tour here begins in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is nicknamed the most western town. Eleanor Roosevelt called it Shopsdale. But this destination here, where we're going to get into the xeriscaping, which is that desert landscape. You see the cholla cacti, you see the saguaros or the big daddies. Now, those big daddy saguaro cacti in front of us, right in the center, those arms start to grow at the age of 75 years. They live up to 200 to 250 years, hold up to 2,000 gallons of water. And this is, of course, the state plant or the state cactus of Arizona here as well. This is going to be literally the only time when we leave Scottsdale, making our way up to Sedona. That's our last time that we're going to see this type of landscape, because we're going to start to go into higher elevations from there. And that's what we'll see, just these little things. Each day has its own wonder. Now, downtown Scottsdale, where we're at, it has a chock full of buildings that are on the National Register of Historic Places, including the Old Town, where again the Old West meets the New West. Get art galleries, shops, venues, the headquarters, the Cold Stone Creamery right there, P.F. Chang's Chinese food right there, all out here in the desert, and much more. We'll have a welcome dinner with our fellow travelers here on our first evening with real cowboy flair. And our next day, we'll be traveling by motor coach all together, and we'll begin in our day making our way up to Sedona. We'll, as I said, get rid of those cacti and we'll start to get into the junipers and the pinyon pines here as well. Now, despite its small size, the city here boasts a strong following and support of the arts. And there is, again, everything from Native American art to intricate weaving, stunning landscape painting. This is also home to the National Cowboy Artist Hall of Fame here in Sedona. And it was named after the daughter of one of actually the first postmaster, T.C. Schnebley. They tried to name it Schnebleyville, and Schnebleyville's Corners got rejected. His wife said, how about you just name it after our daughter, Sedona? And the name stuck. It was approved by that postmaster general. Anyways, here, with galleries, mere steps from each other, you're going to fall in love with not only what's on the street, but also what's on the landscapes here. Again, we're going to start to get into Red Rock country right here in Sedona. Now, again, we'll have time to stop, enjoy. We'll have a lunch stop here as well. We're not overnighting here. We're going to be making our way up to the upper end of the state here at Grand Canyon. With each turn of the road, keep your head swiveled and bobbled there because there's so much to see. You have a tour manager who's going to give you the color commentary, talk about the history, the geology, all of that. Separately, you're going to have a driver who's focusing on the road here as well. So you're not going to have to be driving, your fellow traveler, your companion is not navigating. You're going to be able to take it all in yourself. Now, after traveling through that awe-inspiring landscape, we arrive at the Grand Canyon. This is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, on average about 11 miles from rim to rim. At furthest, about 18 miles. The mile deep, and some of the oldest rock here in North America, up to 1.8 billion years old, right here in this area. Now, here again, upon arrival, we're going to take many different view spots between here and the next day, and the next morning here, taking in that colorful canyon. With time, it allows you to see it and experience it. And this is what's so important about going guided and experiencing it here with Collette, is that you're going to have more proper time than if you were just going to do it on your own. Why do I say that? The average traveler spends less than 4 hours at the Grand Canyon. You're overnighting there. And so we don't want this to be like a National Lampoon's, Wally World experience where you just get out, take the picture, and leave. We want you to be able to see those spots here as well. Just here's some audio. I'm just gonna mute whoever is coming in here as well. Thank you for attending. Okay, coming back here as well, getting into those next slides. Wanted just to point out here as well, we'll be taking in this national treasure here. Again, the carving only started about 6 million years ago here with the mighty Colorado. But again, some of the oldest rock, nearly 2 billion years of age. We will have dinner there at the Grand Canyon. And beforehand, if you want to take a short walk, explore the area, oftentimes the National Park Service will have ranger talks that are going on, depending on availability. This is, again, great opportunities. I've also seen the California condor. So again, have your cameras, your cell phones ready, have a pair of binoculars, great things to bring with you on this trip. After our overnight at the Grand Canyon, we are going to be making our way out of the park itself and heading towards Lake Powell, which is on the shores of, which is on the border of Utah and Arizona. We will travel to the Carl Hayden Visitor Center here, looking out over the Glen Canyon Dam to see the end of Lake Powell here, one of the largest man-made lakes, actually the second largest man-made lake here in the U.S., created back in 1963. It was built on the Canyon River here, and it took 17 years for it to fill up, nearly 475 feet. Now, with almost 2,000 miles of shoreline, it actually has more shores than the combined coastline of the Pacific Coast states, believe it or not. We'll overnight there right at Lake Powell at Waweep, and our next day, what we will do is we'll be making our way to Utah. We'll cross Marble Canyon, which is one of the narrowest spots here, about 470 feet above the Colorado itself. And as you can see, that was this mighty Colorado was definitely tamed by the dam that we see right here. Now, moving forward on this here, we'll be traveling through. We don't go longer than about an hour and a half, 2 hours without a restroom break, stretch break. On the motor coach, of course, we have our restroom facilities available there, but we want to make sure that we do those proper comfort spots when we can. We'll stop away. Oh, don't worry, this is not your hotel. Okay, we're going to stop and along the way here, make our way towards Kanab. Now, Kanab here is in southern Utah. It was nicknamed Little Hollywood because, again, this is where a lot of the spaghetti westerns, TV series like Stagecoach, Lone Ranger, Gunsmoke were all filmed here as well. This has been going on for decades, and still a lot of those backdrops and scenes still done here today. We're going to arrive in Springdale, which is on the gateway here to the Zion National Park, which is going to be our home for the next 2 nights. What makes Springdale and what makes Zion unique is that here we're not going to, as the Grand Canyon, we're not going to have the opportunity of going to the base of the Grand Canyon. We're not going to be riding a donkey for 2 hours down and 2 hours back. we're going to do a much more enjoyable way of going to the base of Zion, being able to see those beautiful peaks and this all this here, and not have to stress and do it the hard way here. And that's what I want to point out with Zion is it's kind of like if you've done Niagara Falls, this would be that Maid of the Mist experience where you have that completely different perspective looking up and around at everything around you here. Now, again, here, our destination, the red and white sandstone cliffs of Zion National Park, were again 25, 2,600 foot tall cliffs here around us. And this was named Zion because this was part of the quote unquote promised land of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This was in the area that nobody wanted to. It's called Deseret, which again was the state way back before it became Utah back in the day. So yeah, we're going to be learning the Paul Harvey experience. We're going to get the rest of the American history story here. And Zion, very likely to be one of the most breathtaking national parks in the world just because of its sheer magnitude and size. What you see here are the hairpin turns, those turns that our motor coach is going to drive down to get us here towards Zion National Park and to the base and to look out and above. Here, we will take a tram tour, and this is going to be only available here exclusively for our guests as well as others that do a privatized tour. If you were going to go and do Zion on your own, you would be not having this accessibility. You go in, you have a kind of an opaque tinted window trolley that you would go in. With us being there at Zion, we have that exclusive experience of being able to go in and having this guided experience, learning about everything that's around us. Now, after that, we have a choice of how we want to do an experience here, Zion. One is going to be either going to the Zion Human History Museum, learning about Native American heritage and pioneer culture there, or the other option is to have an independent exploration here at Zion itself. Now, again, there'll be options, ideas, where to go, what to see, what to do. From here as well, we will be able to make our way after our second night of stay at Zion, head up towards Bryce Canyon National Park. That being said here as well, my apologies here. From that here as well, what I want to point out is our journey here is going to bring us here to one of the other spectacular natural wonders here as well. Becoming a national park back in 1928, it is not a canyon, it's actually a natural amphitheater. It was created by, again, erosion over eons of time. And again, it's known for this very unique geology called hoodoos here that we see. These are sandstone spires, pinnacles here. Also has slot canyons, windows, and much more here as well. Our tour manager is going to give us insight into this destination, so you're not going to have to walk around with the Rick Steves, the Frommer's book here as well on this. Again, these formations here, very, very spectacular. Again, the native story behind it was that it was Native America. It was an ancient god, Anakawasowitz, that turned man into stone. But we know here again today that it was again wind and water erosion. It was named after Ebenezer Bryce, who was told by Brigham Young to go farm the land, and he wrote in his journal, "It was a hell of a place to lose a cow," as you can see from some of these shots here as well. But from here, what we will do is we'll be making our way up towards Salt Lake City from here. Now, we probably will not see at this time of year, being late August, the snow. But what we will possibly do is see some possible remnants. It depends on the remaining of winter here. But this is all towards the Wasatch Ranges here in Utah. Now, from this being said, this is the capital of the state of Utah. Now, on this here, what I want to point out is that Salt Lake City is actually named up after about 15 different cities in and around this region right here. Now, where we are staying is just a stone's throw from Temple Square, and that gives us a great base for being able to walk around, explore, and much, much more. That being from our one night there, we will then be en route here to the state of Wyoming. Via Wyoming, we are going to be going through Idaho. And here, this is actually a place called Bear Lake. And this is nicknamed the Caribbean of the Rockies. This was all created during the last ice age about 12,000 years ago. Very beautiful turquoise colors here as well. And from here, we will continue on to Jackson, Wyoming, which is, of course, the gateway to Yellowstone National Park. Now, a hole is a secluded mountain valley. Jackson, Wyoming here. This is the name of the town itself, about 7,000 people that live here. And if you've been to Jackson and have been to the square, Jackson Square, it hasn't changed very much over the last several decades. You still see the elk antler arches that you see right here as well. And from that, we will be having this as our gateway for the next 2 nights on this. Now, that being said, I'm so sorry about that. Having little technical difficulties here at home with the little ones. My apologies. But what I want to point out is that this was all collected by the Boy Scouts here of nearby National Elk Refuge here as well. So again, this is all collected in the wintertime for the summer harvest, or I should say wintertime, and then usually sold off to local venues here in the spring. Now, what will we be doing here? We'll be having a cowboy-filled and fun evening dinner experience at a traditional chuck wagon. And it's great entertainment and dinner with Western music and tunes here. Again, it is a covered location, great Western group, giving us a wonderful toe-tapping evening here. Now, our next date is going to be for us to enjoy and do whatever we wish on this here. So stunningly beautiful town, as I said, about 7,000 people here in the town. But this is also when there's peak of activities happening. Here in Jackson, what we have here is nearby to where we're going to be staying. They also will have the chairlift that is open. So if you want to go up by Snow King Resort and have beautiful views overlooking Jackson Town, you can. If you want to see in the evening, they also have gun battles going out there in Jackson Square. You can. If you want to take care of retail therapy, you can as well. We just don't want you to be sitting in your room watching CNN and Fox News, wondering what's going on in the world. We want you to do what's right with the world. Go out, travel, see, and explore. And that's what you're going to be doing here with Collette. On that free day, what we're going to have is 2 options that are available. One is whitewater rafting, included lunch. And then the other one is going to be a scenic float. 2 big differences. One is going to be on this whitewater rafting, you're going to have to paddle. You're going to have to raft. And you're not going to have that opportunity of taking pictures here on this. The other option here is going to be doing a scenic float. Do you see them paddling? Do you see them getting wet? No. So one of the things is that I kind of call this as a kind of a calm, nice safari and great opportunities of seeing osprey, bald eagle, and many more bits of wildlife. This being done, this trip being in August, what we're going to have here as well is an amazing opportunity here of the water being the warmest here in those late August, early September months here, because of the runoff of the winter snows here in April, or I say in May or June. Those waters can be quite chilly. These are class 3 rapids, and this again is an option. It's done during free time. You're not missing out in lieu of doing anything else. From here, and I should point out that lunch is a bagged lunch. If you're vegetarian, if you're this or that, just let us know in advance. It goes for $140 per person on this. It includes transportation and, of course, the guide experience here as well. Just to show you where we're at, where we're going on this here as well. And I want to kind of bring you up to speed temperature-wise, where we're at and averaging on that, because I forgot to mention that here earlier for you. So temperatures here, again, our warmest spots, as I said, are going to be in the area in and around the Grand Canyon. Sorry, not Grand Canyon, but Phoenix, Arizona. And average temperatures here in Phoenix at this time are going to be warm, 80 to the upper 90s, low 100s. Yes, it is a dry heat. I do want to point that out. Now, the Grand Canyon, we were in the 50s in the morning, upper 70s in the afternoon. Lake Powell, 70 and 90 on average. Zion is 60 and 90. So again, this is stuff where you might have that layer with you, but know that it's going to warm up. And of course, in Jackson, Wyoming, which I just mentioned, about 40 and 70 are the temperatures at this time of year. By the time we get to Sheridan, as well as into Rapid City, we're looking at temperatures in the low 50s to the upper 70s. So this is perfect traveling weather. Again, not too hot, not too cold, just right here. And if you don't like the hot, the heat, by the time we get out of southern Utah, we're going to start to get into, again, some more pleasurable temperatures right there. So again, these are averages. I can't speak for how it's going to be in late August, but I wanted to point that out here for you on that. So again, here we are. This is the Tetons. By this time of year, we might see a little bit of ice still left up there from the glaciers, but this is the Switzerland of the West in a sense, because you have here several peaks over 12,000 feet. And again, we're at 7,000 feet elevation where we're at. So these peaks here are about 5,000 to 6,000 feet higher than where we are here. These were all created by earthquakes. And it's some of the oldest rock as well in North America, but some of the youngest mountains, about 5 million years old. Now, 40 miles up the road here, this was all created by volcanoes. And here at the Grand Tetons, I should say, this stretches for about 40 miles, as I mentioned here, to the southern end of Yellowstone National Park. This was all going to be land that was going to be used for multi-use purposes. But the gentleman with the last name of Rockefeller, you may have heard of the Snake Oil Company back in the Snake River Oil Company. That whole land grant, all those different things, all privatized it. He bought this and has protected this land here as well. So again, thanks to that family, we have this beautiful park that we'll be traveling through here. Again, those peaks here, and we'll be doing some stops along the way. Place like Oxbow Lake Turnout here as well. And just beautiful. When we're driving up here that morning towards Grand Canyon, towards Yellowstone, what we're going to see here is great opportunity of seeing even moose, but oftentimes what we see are called pronghorn or antelope, which is the fastest running land mammal in North America, about 55 miles an hour, about 90 kilometers per hour there. And just to show you some along the way, how that drive, how flat it is and how it just kind of changes. The name Teton literally means pinnacles or spires. It was named by the guy of Davy Jackson, who was a fur hunter, fur trapper that came out there during the 1800s. And for one time, he wrote in his journal that he was not lost, but he was wandering for several weeks, which again, we're not going to make you wander and get lost out here, but you'll just be filled with wonderment and awe. We then get into the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, which is again what we see here. Yes, it is called that. We're looking at the lower falls, which is double the height of Niagara Falls at about 308 feet. It's named Yellowstone after the rhyolite rich minerals that we see here that kind of create this Yellowstone that we see right here as well. Our tour manager going to bring again the park history and much more to life here. Seeing some of those incredible sites, we're going to be focusing on the lower loop of Yellowstone National Park, and that's where you're going to see the hot pots, the fumaroles, the waterfalls. We'll see the Old Faithful and much more. 1/3 of the world's geological activity happening right here at Yellowstone National Park. And again, some of the largest concentration of geysers in the world located right here at Yellowstone. Now, Yellowstone, the Old Faithful erupts every 92 to 94 minutes, shoots off superheated water at up to about 30 to 3,500 gallons for anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes, depending on it. Yes, we will be there to watch an eruption. We're overnighting at Yellowstone. And so guess what? If you want to go back and watch another eruption later, we've got that opportunity right there for you as well. This is literally across the street from Morstaine. So Here at Collette, we pride ourselves in our strategically / centrally located hotels. You can't get better than where we're going to be here on this departure date in August. Now, also what's happening here is that we're into rut season here. So again, we're seeing the bulls looking for their mates, and this again concentration wise, we have about 700, 800 head of bison out here. Much more than there were in years past. Back in 1903, we were down to about 20 here, and they've done great efforts here in terms of just repopulation here, and also just kind of maintaining that population of this national mammal here in the United States. Now, those are the closest I want you to be to bison or the American buffalo, by the way. Why? They look slow and dopey. They run 30 to 35 miles an hour. They weigh up to 2,000 pounds. So the front end is like a defensive lineman for the Buffalo Bills, pun intended. The back half is like Usain Bolt, the Olympic sprinter and athlete. You do not want to be messing around or anywhere close to these big animals. We will then, after our overnight stay at within the park here, we will make our way out through the eastern exit of uh, Yellowstone National Park, going towards the Sylvan Pass in Cody, Wyoming, and we will see Yellowstone Lake. Now, Yellowstone Lake, it is incorrect in that photo. That is actually, I'll point out, the lake further in the back is Yellowstone Lake. What you're seeing here close up is actually Isa Lake, or as I call it, Congress Lake. Why do they call it Congress Lake? Well, because it doesn't do anything. But no, in this area, we're going to be going through over many times here the Continental Divide, where water flows in one direction to the Pacific, one direction to the Atlantic. Believe it or not, there's actually some of these bodies of water where it flows to the Arctic Ocean to the north here as well. We will get to the Buffalo Bill Center of the West here in Cody, Wyoming here on our following day. And this is an amazing venue here itself. It contains 5 museums, from the Plains Indian Museum to the Whitney Western Art Museum, the Draper National History Museum, even the Remington Firearms Museum inside here as well. And again, it was in honor to tribute, of course, William Cody here, Buffalo Bill, who did much for the American and Native American cause here as well. We will make our way towards Sheridan, Wyoming here, but en route we will be going through the Bighorn Mountains. And again, this is going to bring us to actually our highest point on the entire trip. We'll be driving through it. We had about 9,100 feet in elevation at this point. And this is where we have a very short growing season, about 60, 55, 60, 70 days here as well. And this is if you ever go to the national museums in Smithsonian National Museums in Washington, D.C., you ever get to the paleontology section, the archaeological sections here, a lot of that work, or I should say, a lot of those findings of dinosaur bones, skeletons, all that stuff comes from this part of the country here, the Bighorn Mountains of Wyoming. We then make our way to, I should say here, we put our head to the bed in Sheridan for the night. And from Sheridan, we make our way to southwestern South Dakota here at the Crazy Horse National Monument. Now, Crazy Horse, very unique to itself here. This memorial, I say not a national monument, it's a memorial. And it is known as the world's largest sculpture, currently in progress here. It's been going since 1948. It's 563 feet high. It's 641 feet wide. And this was in honor of Crazy Horse, who was a Lakota chief who fought against the being removed to an Indian reservation. He took part in Little Bighorn. And again, this town nearby is called Custer. But Custer's last stand, all of that, is about 300 miles away in far eastern Montana. The projected date of this to be finished is about 2030. But the last time I was there, and they're working on the fingernails to this right now of where he's pointing out. Here, it was going to be 8 to 11 years for that to be done. This is completely, how massive is this place? All 4 heads of the presidents fit within the head of Crazy Horse himself. So inside of the park itself, we'll also see here as well the Indian Museum of North America, the North American Cultural Center, and much more. Again, over 300 native nations here preserving the history of their cultures right here within this museum. During the summertime, when you're going to be here, don't be surprised if there's going to be dancing, other activities that are happening right there within the park itself, or within the memorial itself, and learning about this very, very important part of American history here as well. It's our history. Later on, we are going to see the United States one of the most famous landmarks here, Mount Rushmore. Just going to get some audio feed. So on this here, we'll be getting to experience and see and learn about 150 years of American history. From George Washington, the father of our country here, Thomas Jefferson, who was, of course, the one who penned the Louisiana Purchase, and that's what expanded the West. Teddy Roosevelt, who's up there because he was all about conservationism and starting up the Park Service here, as well as Abraham Lincoln, who was all about the preservation of the Union here, as well as about ending slavery. So this is why those four presidents are up there here. This was created in 1929, went till 1941. It stopped abruptly in 1941, of course, because of the U.S. involvement in World War II, but also because Gutzon Borglum, the sculptor who started this, he died on the way to Washington to ask for more money. This cost under $1 million to get to be where it's at right now. There's no future plans on creating anything else like this. Any new work. There's not going to be a fifth person on the hills or anything like that. Some of the hardest rock is out here. It's called Harney Peak Granite, and this is also one of the tallest peaks east. Actually, I should say one of the tallest peaks east of the Rockies is actually here. It's in South Dakota. It's not in the Appalachians. It's not in the White Mountains or the Green Mountains or the Adirondacks. It's actually out here in Southwest South Dakota, believe it or not. We will at our evening here, we'll have our farewell dinner. We will meet a Lakota native here as well, Robbie Yellowtail, wonderful gentleman and his family here. Learn about all his way of life and the Lakota way of life, past and present, right here, and much more. This trip again has so many wows each and every day here as well. As I mentioned, it gets better and better and better. Again, beginning in Phoenix, ending in Rapid City, South Dakota, where we'll be flying out here as well. When it comes to personalization of this experience, again, we talked about the optional excursion. We also do have pre-nights that are available. So just reach out to Heidi here in advance if you're wanting to find out more, to come ahead, and get rid of jet lag and things like that. That is available there for you. Our insurance is a cancel for any reason insurance. It's one of the best in the industry. If you have to cancel for any reason, literally the day prior, full money back refund. Not a coupon, credit, or voucher. While on tour, you're covered here as well. Medical assistance, evacuation, baggage loss, theft. It really is the peace of mind that you cannot put a price tag on here as well. Up until the 24th of February, if you have to cancel for any reason, you're going to even get the insurance back. So you're not out one dime on this here as well. So again, it's one thing that you never need insurance until you need insurance. Never need car insurance until there's an accident. Same thing here as well. You don't want to travel about. Now, if you've traveled with Collette in the past, thank you. We appreciate your loyalty and your business. We have revamped our travel loyalty program here for all departures that for those who have come back since September 1st, 2023, this is how the new program is going to be. And basically what it is that the more that you spend or have spent, the more that you save. And so we'll do the number crunching there for you. But if you've traveled with us previous to from basically August of 2022 to that September 1st date here, you'll still be able to get savings from our previous loyalty program here as well. So we'll give you those numbers, but again, just wanted to thank you for your loyalty and traveling with Collette. Note, when you do fill out your registration form, you do need to make sure your eyes are dotted and your T's are crossed. Why is that? Because when it comes to flying, we want to make sure that there's no funny business on the day of travel. Uh, if the middle name is spelled out on the driver's license, spell it out. If it's just the initial, leave it as is. Note that this is not going to be affected by this, but as of May 7 of 2025, if you have not updated to a real ID or an equivalency for some of the border states, an enhanced license, as they would say, um, if it is not for federal purposes, they'll tell you on it in many states or regions. You do need to make sure that you've got that. If you're watching this from abroad, make sure that, again, for a passport, make sure it matches exactly what's on your passport. Make sure that you have that 6 to 8 month validity here as well. Now, you can find out more about this trip at our trip dedicated webpage, which is at gateway.gocollette.com/link/122 6024. Again, 122 6024. And there is even a sign up now button that's right there as well. Very much turnkey on this here. But again, you can reach out to Heidi because her information listed right there on that site here. Before travel, and this is one thing I always see on that Facebook page, people are kind of asking, hey, I'm doing this trip. Do you have some more insights? The note before you go information is going to be further on down with the itinerary, from the itinerary at a glance here as well. So that's one thing I just want to emphasize here for you. But very turnkey. If you have any dietary restrictions, if you are, eating, if you're celebrating something while on tour, let us know. We want to party right along here with you as well on this. And again, that booked out early and save rate, which I'll show you in just a second, is again 100 per person on this. And here's our breakdown. The deposit is $698. The time of deposit is when that cancel for any reason insurance is due, which is $349. And that price tag again is $1047. Deposits are due by the 24th. Do not wait till the 23rd to make up your mind because very limited spacing on this here. Very popular trip. How popular? It's our #1 domestic tour here at Collette. Fully refundable as I said till the 24th. Final payment is not due until 2 months prior. Now again, this rate is based out of New York, which again I'll show you in my next slide here where to contact for other gateways here. But it's $57.99 per person double occupancy with that $349 insurance, $61.48. Solo travelers, $1,800 higher. Again, it's not because of anything else more than just the fact where these hotels, it is a premium for trying to get as many people and capacity at its largest here. And if you are a solo traveler, but you do find a roommate here, let us know. We'll adjust the rate accordingly from the double rate down to the single. But again, $75.99 plus that $349 insurance. Very limited spacing on single rooms. So again, don't drag your feet. Again, this includes the air taxes, your hotels, your porterage, 16 meals. What's not included? Your domestic airline baggage fee, $30 to $35. The meals that are on your own. Lunches are on your own. Several of the dinners are on your own. Tips to the driver, guide, local guide, those are on your own. We'll give you what those suggested rates here as well prior to departure. But to any other gateways, reach out to Heidi. Area code 845-519-0819. Again, 845-519-0819. And ultimately this, the voice in your head that's telling you to travel, that brought you out to watch this today, listen to it. 10 years from now, you'll be so glad that you did. You may have seen all of the parts of the world, but you haven't seen your own part of the world. Go and experience this amazing part of the United States. The best time to travel is while you can. So what are you waiting for? Again, Heidi's information listed right here, 845-519-0819, or Heidi at astonishingtravel.com. That web link, once again, gateway.gocollette.com/link/122 6024. Note, there's no www in there. That QR code, bring you right to that same page. On behalf of all of us here at Collette, Astonishing Travel, Heidi, thank you so much for traveling with us. We look forward to having you travel with us on this amazing journey to the National Parks of America, August 24th to September 4th.